I was always curious about Edith Featherstone, who was the person that started the Packwood House. Edith was born in Lewisburg, and she was a Bucknell student. She actually graduated, she graduated from the Women's Institute, and then did a Bachelor of Arts, and then finally an MA in philosophy. She became kind of a local celebrity in a way. She belonged to the garden club and hosted parties. And as she amassed her collection, she began to open her house to people to look at the things that she had collected on her travels and her own paintings. I decided I wanted to teach a class called The West Imagines the Rest. I knew that there were a collection of Asian objects in Edith Featherstone's collection. So I came down and I looked through Packwood House and I thought, good, there's something here for students to work with. And really my original thought was, I wanted them to have some hands-on experience with local objects.
The reason I got involved with this project was I was taking a class with Professor MANN, and we came to the Packwood House here and looked at different objects, and that was my first introduction to the museum. And after that, I went up to Professor MANN and said that I really wanted to do research, and the Packwood House was really interesting to me, so she got me in touch with the library and the Packwood House.
My role with the Packwood House project was initially primarily to help the students with the creation of metadata. And since we chose to use Omeka, that meant using doubling core. And so doubling core works really well when you're talking about paper materials, correspondence. In addition to that, I also have a background in archives. So I kind of provide the students with some guidance on preservation, arrangement, and description of the physical archives and how that would transfer into a digital archive.
What I hoped that they would learn was how to research an art object that had no previous research done on it before. I wanted them to get outside of their comfort zone. And I wanted them to really, I hope they would become curious about these objects.
Nothing has really been looked at here before, so when you come in, it's all this stuff here that no one knows anything about, and there's a lot of new opportunities to discover new things.
The Bucknell students worked on organizing our archives. We have probably hundreds of years worth of documents and newspapers, postcards, all sorts of ephemera.
We eventually would like to sort of create, with our digital site, collections and records for everything that's in Packwood House.
There's a lot involved in this project, and the students had the opportunity to learn skill sets that they will hopefully take onto future careers as far as scanning, working with images in Photoshop, using professional photography equipment, and then the metadata itself.
The value of a project like this for students is, I think it gives them a really immediate and firsthand experience working with artistic objects in the real world. They get this firsthand experience that they wouldn't have in a museum.
And I hope that future students will work on it, not just because there's so much that's undiscovered in this museum, but the fact that it brought the students into downtown Lewisburg and they were interacting with the workers at the museum, and I think it really helped them break down those barriers of Bucknell and Lewisburg, and they really, I think during the summer, felt like they were part of this community in a way they hadn't felt before.
Working in a house museum specifically, or especially a small one like this that doesn't have a lot of stuff written about it or doesn't have a digital archive yet. There's so much that you can learn and so much that you can do yourself, as opposed to me just doing the busy work of someone else as my research. It was a lot more hands-on than I thought, which I really liked, so I definitely would recommend it.
I would like to see Bucknell and Packwood have some sort of program set up that could help students learn more about museum studies and the whole process of administering the museum and setting up exhibits, that sort of thing. I would like to see a more permanent setup or more permanent relationship.
I've never seen students as excited as my 3 research students this summer. It was like they were in love. I get something out of this too. It's not just the pleasure of seeing young people discover something new to them, but it's also, you know, I learned from them too. Like, I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have suspected in a million years how significant Packwood House would become for these students until I heard their testimony about it. And that made me more interested in it too. So it really truly was a collaboration.